Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name's Bob, I'll be your host. One of the more popular categories of games out there is probably the superhero category, and there are more superhero games out there than you'd think, and most people know at least of one. Some know of a few, but there are quite a few out there. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video, is one of those superhero games. We're going to talk about Heroes Unlimited, the revised edition. This book has 248 pages and a copyright of 1996. This is the 12th printing of this book. It was published by Palladium Games, and all of the artwork in this book is in black and white. So let's go ahead and look at that artwork. All of the artwork in this book is in black and white. And like the artwork in all Palladium books, the artwork in this book is pretty decent and has pictures of many different types of heroes. And has pictures like this one that seem to crop up in many different Palladium games. To play this game, what you're going to need is a copy of this core rulebook and a full set of dice. A full set of dice containing a 20-sided die, a 12-sided die, preferably two 10-sided dice for rolling both percentiles and tens, an 8-sided die, a 6-sided die, and a 4-sided die. This book has everything you need to play the game, and it's fully compatible with all of Palladium's other games that they got out there, such as Rifts, Beyond the Supernatural, Robotech, what have you. And it's pretty neat. The character generation is pretty standard per Palladium games. You have your attributes, which is your intelligence quotient, your mental endurance, your mental affinity, your physical strength, your physical prowess, your physical endurance, your physical beauty, and your speed. And the way you determine those is you roll 3 6-sided dice and add them together for each attribute. If you should get a 16, 17, or an 18 in an attribute, then you'll get to roll a 4th 6-sided die and add that to your total. So you can have a hero that's pretty dang strong. So that's pretty cool. Next, you'll figure up your hit points. Your hit points is pretty easy. You just take your physical endurance and add it to a d6 roll. And that's your starting hit points. And then for each level you gain, you'll add another d6. You also, in the Palladium games, have an SDC. SDC stands for Structural Damage Capacity. And it's extra damage you can take. And basically your SDC represents stuff like cuts and bruises and abrasions and stuff like that. But once your SDC is gone, you start taking damage to your hit points. And that's where the real damage begins. The internal bleeding, the ruptured organs, the broken bones, that kind of thing. Once you lose all your hit points, you're dead. Your SDC, once you figure it out, and it's based off of whatever class you get, and whatever your SDC is after character creation, it pretty much stays the same. You can heal it back, but whatever your total is, that's it for the rest of your character's life. And that's pretty cool, I guess. After that, you'll figure out what class you are. And the classes in this are referred to as OCCs, or Occupational Character Class. That's what they call them in all of Palladium's games. And there are two ways to determine what you are. You can randomly roll it, and they got a chart for that in here, which I think is kind of fun. You don't really know what you're going to be until you go. But you can randomly roll it, or you can select one. However you and your game master wish to do it. But the classes that there are in this game are the Experiment, Robotics, Bionics and Implants, the Special Training, the Mutant, the Psionicist, the Physical Training, the Magic, Hardware, and Alien. And that's the different classes that there are in here. and each one determines your hero powers and so forth. After that, you'll pick an alignment. There are 3 main alignments, which are each broken up into smaller bits. You have your good alignments, which are principled and scrupulous. And then instead of neutral alignments, you have selfish alignments, which are unprincipled and anarchist. Then you have your evil alignments, which are miscreant, aberrant, and diabolic. After you got your alignment, you'll want to figure up your skills. And there is a random education chart in here to determine how all the characters are educated, how much schooling they have, except for 2. And that is the special training and the physical training. They get their own education programs via their class, which is kind of cool. And that's pretty much it for character creation. You figure out your name, your powers. Your powers are figured out and determined by what class you are. And come up with your equipment. And that's pretty much it. Combat is pretty simple. It uses a D20, and on a roll of 1, 2, 3, or 4, you miss. On a roll of 5 or better, you hit. Of course, if the target is wearing armor, the armor comes with its own armor class, and then you have to score the armor class or better to hit the character. If not, you just do damage to the armor. So like if the armor class that they have from their armor is 12, you have to roll a 12 or better to do damage to the character. If you just roll somewhere between 5 and 11, then you still hit, but all the damage is done to the armor. Once the armor loses all of its STC, it is useless and it goes to normal for hitting the character. And there are other little bitty rules and whatnots in here for combat. They have vehicle combat in here, space combat, aerial combat. It's pretty in depth on the combat. Then they've got a section in here on magic, because some characters have magic. There's a section here describing all the different superpowers and mutant powers and so forth. There's a section here for equipment. There is a section here to quick roll some villains, which is always nice. There are some pre-made villains for you to use, and there's a pre-made adventure in here for you to run if you want. In the back of the book, it's got several different character sheets, a different character sheet for each hero type, which is nice. You can photocopy those and use them as you wish. And that's pretty much it. The standard rules in this is a D20 to do things for combat. For skills, however, it's all percentiles. Every skill comes with its own percentile rating, and you roll a percentile die to see if you succeed or not, and you got to roll equal to or less than whatever your percent is in the skill in order to succeed. Skills can only go up to 98% because there's always a room for error. And that's pretty much it for the rules in here. This game's pretty cool. I've run it a few times, and out of all the superhero games, this is probably my favorite one. There are others that have some better stuff in them, but they tend to rub me the wrong way, and we'll talk about those when we get to them. And that brings me to 3 questions. Would I play a character in this game? Absolutely. It's Palladium system, so character generation takes a little while, but it's a pretty straightforward system. Would I run this game? Yes, I would. Yes, I have. I've run it a few times and had a lot of fun doing so. Would I recommend this book? I would recommend it, but I like the Palladium system. Not everybody is a fan of the Palladium system. If you're not, there are other superhero games out there you could go with. But if you're looking for something, if you're familiar with the Palladium system and don't mind it, this would be a pretty good book to check out. Fully compatible with all the other games. You can work the stuff in here into your Rifts game if you want. There's a Mutant Turtles game, and it would go hand in hand with this. So that's pretty cool. And that's pretty much all I got to say about Heroes Unlimited for right now. Thank you for joining me at a look at this book, and hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.